So went to Harbor Freight and got this 13 horse Predator. This is the transmission out of the boat, and flywheel and the other pieces there. We're going to marry this to this transmission. I'll work on this, and once I get it figured out, I'll show you the end result. And so I'm going to reroute the gas tank and the breather and the exhaust. That all has to come off of this engine and be located on the boat in different places, so that this thing will work and be safe. But we'll see how it turns out. That's what I got so far. I cut the top of the bell housing off to get all this straightened up, and I'm not using a clutch or a flywheel, so it really doesn't matter. I'll put it back on there and just make some tabs, just bolt it on there after I'm all done, but make it nice to kind of make it serviceable. So I'm going to take some flat stock. I have it right there, but it's going to come right there, and I'll bolt this here to that, and then same thing here, and marry it together. I may put this plate on it just to kind of cover it up, but so this is a collar that I got for this engine, and this is just off an old smog pulley I had. I'll show you. This thing here is a spring-loaded connector that went to the original flywheel of the engine, and so I'm mounting that here. That way it's not just rigid, and it does have some give, because nothing ever lines up perfect or stays that way with bolts and human error. But so that's what we have so far, and we'll keep working on it and see where we go. I'm going to cut this shaft here. It won't hurt to cut it, because I want to bring this tight. I don't want to build a lot of spacers, and I want to keep the engine compartment down and go from there and see how this works out. Took this plate, it's about 3/16 thick, and then welded some tabs here because I wanted that a little bit beefier and cover up some of the holes and just re-drill it. And so now we've got it mounted on the back, and so everything's lined up. I did cut the shaft. Still have to drill this and bolt it. Then I've got to finish up the welding here. But basically, it goes just like that. So, getting it about done. We're going to check it out just in a few minutes. I think it did all right, just for a little sailboat. The collar is right there, and then I welded that to this all the way around it. And like I said, this was just an old pulley that I had just so that I could have something to make up the gap difference, and then bolted this through, and as you see, got the bell housing bolted here, and then I'm going to put the top on it, and I'll make a bracket that comes here to there just to hold it, and then these little mounts here, that's what mounts it in the boat. So kind of proud of it. I'll be even more thrilled if it works. We'll find out. So that's pretty good. So let's pull this out. So when I put it in the boat, this has got to be run to the exhaust, to the boat exhaust. So I'll make a flange here. The gas tank is going somewhere else. I don't want that tank down inside the middle of the galley of the boat. This engine sits in the galley. And I'll change the air filter, that kind of stuff, give it a little bit more clearance, but I'm happy with it. Back at the old Predator motor again. So as you see, I cleaned it up, painted it, got the bell housing back together. Maybe wondering why I even cut the bell housing apart. I'm in my house garage. I'm not in a shop with, you know, lathes and mills and all that stuff. So I cut that apart, and, you know, it's held back together with that big steel plate anyway. And I don't even know that I mind having access to it. When it gets in the boat, I'll show you, it's tight quarters. And if I had to service it, being able to take that apart, and I put a bracket there to hold it on this side, and then it's held good here. So I don't believe I have any issues with that. And this is not a big, powerful engine. It's not like we're hooking something big. And if you're wondering why would I even go through the trouble, is the boat didn't have an engine. I got the boat with just this. So it had an engine block, but that was it. And so for what I'm doing, eventually putting in a electric motor setup, this is just temporary. Do I recommend you do this and take this across the world or go long sailing and that? No, I don't. But this is just for me to get this thing around until I get the other setup ordered. And so that's the reason I'm doing all that. I've got the tank off because I'm gonna relocate it. I don't want the tank right on top of it where it goes in the boat. I'm gonna relocate that outside. And then I took the exhaust off of it. The exhaust is going to go into the original exhaust for the boat. And yes, I know those are water-cooled exhaust, and I have a workaround. I have a workaround for that exhaust that will be operational also. They use the water pump off the engine on a water-cooled engine to feed that, and I'm just going to use a regular 12-volt transfer pump. And so when this engine is running, that pump will feed the water. And we're going to do hard lines and braided connections. I don't like that. That's not, you know, this isn't made for a boat. This is made for a wood chipper or something else. But in my defense, so was the engines they put in the boat. They were just agriculture engines that they retrofitted, and that's basically what I'm doing. And as I progress and get things hooked up, I'll show you more to that once it's in the boat. So we have copper line running through the fins of this. This is not a cure-all, but it will help. So what I'm doing, the idea is not only am I going to pump water into the exhaust so it'll go out the back, I'm going to run an in and an out also with the water. That way it helps cool this down. And so they don't run that hot anyway. Your oil gets around 180, 200. And so you do get a little head temp off of it. It's not going to be a problem when it's going in the boat. So I'm not even really worried about it, but just for good measure, and maybe keep a little bit of the heat down on it. And so we'll see how this works out.